Check out Paddy Power's new and exclusive Cash Card Plus, available to use online, at ATMs, or even down the local. Paddy Power, you beauty.
Hello and welcome to the Monday Postcast. I'm Maddie Plale and this week I'm joined by Nick Watts. We're freezing in the studio here. Tom Siegel, and we've also got Tom Nugent from Paddy Power on the line. We're going to take an early look at Glorious Goodwood, which kicks off next week. And we're going to have a look back at the weekend that was and pick out some eye catchers for you. But first, we're going to jump straight in with the King George at Ascot. We've had the news this morning that Enable is increasingly likely to go. Obviously, we know that Tom will absolutely love that news. Can we have the betting from you, please, Tom Nugent, first?
You can indeed. Enable is our 13-8 favourite at the moment, and next in is Highland Reel at 5-2. Jack Hobbs is 6-1 alongside Idaho. Ulysses is 8-1. 12-1 Ben Battle, and it's 14-1 Bar.
Okay, excellent. We were just talking off air about the allowances that the fillies receive, Tom.
Yeah, we were.
Do you think that this is just a penalty kick for Enable if she goes?
Well, it's look, we were just discussing. She gets a stone off the older horses. Older horses carry 9-7. She carries 8-7 here if she goes. So it's a fair allowance that she gets. Look at, if she's been talked up as an arc filly, she'd want to go very close, if not win this quite well, to justify kind of her confidence in that arc market. I think she's about 6-1 favourite. She'd shorten up a fair bit now if she was to win this, obviously, but. Yeah, look, it's a fair amount of weight to give away to her, and she looks very, very talented. Like, her ramp at the Curragh was unreal. Like, so yeah, she looks the one.
Yeah, we need to speak about the ground, because obviously it's due to be quite soft, and that wouldn't suit Highland Reel. Tom, we know you're a big Enable fan. Do you just think if she goes, she wins, and it's as simple as that?
Probably. I mean, 3-year-olds have a great record when they run against older horses. I cannot believe more don't run. You know, and we were talking a couple of weeks ago why none of them ran in the Princess of Wales. We got Goodwood coming up with the Goodwood Cup now, a Group 1 next week, and I think there's 2 3-year-old entries. I can't believe more don't run. Last year, I think Highland Reel beat the 1 3-year-old in it, Wings of Desire. He only beat him a length. I think Enable's vastly superior to he'll ever be. So I do think the 3-year-olds have got a chance, but I wouldn't rule out the other two. I mean, I don't know if they're going to run, Permian and Ben Battle, but they're both Royal Ascot winners. They've both got course form. Ben Battle will certainly like soft ground if it's soft. I live not far away, and it absolutely chucked it down yesterday. I can't believe it's anything but soft at the moment. So while she's undoubtedly the standout filly, I think the other 3-year-olds in there are quite interesting too, because I just can't believe more of them don't take on the older horses at this time of the year. They've got such a great record against them. Ben Battle's quite interesting on soft ground. I know probably his best form's at 1.25 miles, but I think he's got Ascot form. He's got soft ground form. I know Sylvester de Souza, before he ran at Ascot, thought that all he wanted was soft ground Ben Battle. So I wouldn't rule him out. You know, he's a pretty good horse. He was 5th in the Derby, and Permian's pretty good too.
You think he's good enough, do you?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. Well, I don't think the older horses are very good. That's the point. I mean, Highland Reel's okay. I don't think he's not a superstar. He never was a superstar. He's sort of an iron horse, isn't he? That is sort of the new Giant's Causeway, but not as good as Giant's Causeway. Before this year, people had him down as a good horse, not a brilliant horse by any stretch of the imagination. He got beaten in the Hardwick last year. He got beaten at York last year. He got beaten at Leopardstown last year. He got beaten at Chantilly. I know it was the Arc, but he still got beaten in not a very good Arc. So it's not like he's a wonder horse by any stretch of the imagination. Now all of a sudden, we're having him 13-8 for, or whatever he was before Enable came in for King George. I don't think he's brilliant by any stretch of the imagination. Idaho, I think, probably got just as good form, but the 3-year-olds are, I think they're really good. I think they've so far, well, they're not really good, but I think they've got a great chance against the older horses. And I'd give Ben Battle a chance. I think he's as good, I think he's, going to stay 1.5 miles. He's got like soft ground. He's by Dubawi. Won at Ascot. What's not to like?
What's not to like, indeed. Are you in agreement with the other two on the Enable train? Do you like any of the 3-year-olds?
Yeah, I do. But I think the most important thing about this race for me is the ground, as Tom alluded to. It chucked it down last night. I think it's due to chuck it down again on Wednesday. We've got a big front coming in. And I think that just takes the race away from Highland Real and Idaho, the two brothers, particularly, because I think they're both best on top of the ground. And if it was those kind of sun-baked turf that we got at Royal Ascot last month, I would fancy both of them a lot more. So I think that takes away from their chances, and I think it increases the likelihood of. We haven't mentioned Jack Hobbs yet, who is a bit of an enigma, but I don't think he would have been suited at all by the trip or the ground. When he ran at Ascot last month, so I'm not surprised he underperformed. And if you go back to a Shima Classic win, Highland Real was absolutely nowhere in that race, and that was on yielding ground, I think. And Jack Hobbs looked really impressive. I think a mile and a half around Ascot with cutting the ground is absolutely perfect for him. And that's why I wouldn't take it as a complete given yet that Enable will take part, because I know obviously they're different owners, but John Gosling is the trainer of both of them. If he was really keen on Jack Hobbs, particularly on the ground, he might persuade the relative owners to stick with Jack and leave Enable for the Yorkshire Oaks. That wouldn't surprise me at all. I think it depends how much rain we get on Wednesday, what it turns the ground to. But it's going to be a world away from what Ascot was at the end of last month.
Yeah, the Yorkshire Oaks has long been the plan for Enable, so maybe you'd be right in thinking that. That's a good point. We've not considered that. We'll move on to the Gigaset International Stakes now, the handicap that sees the Britannia winner, bless him, take on the Hunt Cup winner, Zhui Feng. So Royal Ascot form brought to the table there. Tom, betting with you, please, first?
Yeah, Fascinating Tempest is our 7-1 favourite at the moment. Viscount Barfield is next in at 8-1. Flaming Spear 10s, bless him, 12-1. Maxime is the same price, 14-1. Then Tashweek and Raucous and Tabarak and Zhui Feng, and above the rest, and at 16-1 bar.
Brilliant. I love how you just kept going until you mentioned the ones that I did. Have you seen any significant money for any of them? Any market moves? Any that you fancy in this?
It's just reshuffled a little bit there. Viscount Barfield has been, I'm not sure well backed or just been reshuffled a little bit. He was 33-1 at one stage. He's now 8-1 second favourite, but it's still a fairly shallow market at this stage in the week.
Okay. Is there anything that takes your eye there?
The two I had picked out early this morning obviously have come out, so
we're done.
not right now.
Okay. Other Tom, anything catch your eye in this heat?
I've lost so much money at Ascot this year, Maddie. I don't know where to start. I mean, you just don't know where they're going to go. I mean, during Royal Ascot, they went from one side to the other. At the last meeting at Ascot, you wanted to be under the stands rail. I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say now. It's probably best to forget the draw and back one now. That's probably the best idea. There's two I like. Flaming Spear is an interesting horse. I'm not sure he wants the ground too soft. I mean, he was pulled out the other day, wasn't he, at Newmarket? Was it because of too firm, too soft, one or the other? He's a very, very good horse, I think. He's a player. There's another one called what's his name? Gossiping, who ran in the Bunbury Cup. I think he was drawn on the wrong side that day. That turned into a sort of a high draw race. 19 beat 20. He was second home on his side. I think he's quite a good horse. And my old friend, who I mention every week on this, and he never ever wins, Sir Roderick. If it was really, really soft, I think he's still a really well handicapped horse. He's rated, I don't know, he's 93 now. He's running so many good races off higher marks than that. I think he's a chance. But look, Viscount Barfield's £10 well in, isn't he? He won a listed race last time. Got no Ascot form. That's why I wouldn't be interested necessarily in him at 10-1. He might win. But I like Ascot horses at Ascot, funnily enough.
Do you think the soft ground makes it even harder, or do you just sort of pick the horses that have form on that ground?
I think it makes it easier for them if it's soft ground, because I think it becomes more of a normal race.
Maybe?
Yeah, more of a normal race maybe. I mean, on fast ground, I think it's more like a sort of polytrack type of race in a way. I know people say that, and it's not necessarily borne out by the stats, but tends to be the same size. The Scat Daddies, the Exceed and Excels, the War Fronts tend to have a great record on the fast ground there. I'm not sure that's the case on soft.
Okay, what's the anything to mention?
No, not massively. I mean, I would, I mentioned it before about the ground, and I think it could be one of those days for specialists. I think if you get like good to soft ground and it's just kind of turning, you can get a horse that goes on anything. But I think with the volume of rain we've had already, and that we're due to get in the next couple of days, it will turn it soft. So I'm really looking at horses, that suit those kind of conditions. There's one that came into my mind, Johnny Barnes. who's trained by John Gosden. All his best form by the country mile has come on soft or heavy ground, including his last win, which I think was in a Group 3 at Deauville. I think he's any price at the moment, but if he was to turn up and the ground got really soft.
He ran last weekend.
He only ran okay on Saturday.
Yeah.
He ran all right. So if
it was only okay, wasn't it, Nick? You'd be slightly surprised if he could win. I mean, what about Remarkable then? If you fancy him, you've got to think Remarkable's got a shot.
Well, he was next on my list, actually. He was
was
Remarkable and Johnny Barnes, because Remarkable, he doesn't come down in the handicap much, Remarkable, does he? I just wonder if he's got it in him to win a race off his current mark, but he always runs well. And he wasn't far away in the Jersey Stakes last year at Royal Ascot behind Ribchester, and always, I'm reminded of that run when he's running in these handicaps. He does have a lot of ability when the cards fall right, but I think it's one to look at. I know it's like sitting on the fence a little bit. It's one to look at nearer the time when we know more what the ground's going to be like, and then you can start matching horses to the conditions.
Okay, fantastic. Has anyone got any other thoughts on anything at Ascot or anywhere else this week? We're going to go to Tom Nugent first, because we've got the 2 Group 3s at Leopardstown on Thursday, one of which is the Tyros Stakes. Maybe I pronounced that wrong, I'm not sure. But that Roll of Honour, I was having a look earlier. You've got Churchill, Glen Eagles, Rip Van Winkle, New Approach. It's awesome. So whatever wins that, you're wanting to keep an eye on. Tom, anything from Leopardstown on Thursday?
Yeah, as you mentioned, Maddie, 2 very solid Group 3s. The fillies race is the Silver Flash Stakes. You've got a couple of good entries there from Maiden. September is still in it. Not sure whether she'll run or not. Happily is another filly that he has in there. She was 7th first time out in Leopardstown behind September, and then came out and won a Curragh Maiden there the last day. She'd be interesting. And Mark Johnson sends over Kate Bunting, who was very impressive in Musselburgh last time. I think she won by 5 lengths or so, and looked very sharp indeed. So that could be a very, very good race. And then, as you mentioned there, the Tyros Stakes is a really good 2-year-old trial. Glen Eagles, Deauville and Churchill are the last 3 winners of it, so Aidan obviously uses this as a real good trial for his better 2-year-old colts. Seahenge is one that he has in it. He was an impressive winner of a Curragh Maiden the last day, over 6 furlongs. He's by Scat Daddy out of an American mare, sorry. I think she used to get the mile relatively well, although on kind of second-rate American tracks. I'd say 7 furlongs now on Thursday will just be to see whether or not he'll get a mile towards next season, but Seahenge could be interesting. If he was to win impressively now, he'd shorten up big time for the 2,000 guineas next year. There's a couple of other horses in there, but Seahenge is the one to look out for if he stays in it.
Okay, very informative from you there. So watch out for Seahenge on Thursday.
Relatively. I wouldn't say very, relatively informative.
Okay, then let you take over, Tom.
Now
what
you want
do you
some
fancy?
really very important information. Yeah, that's what you're looking for.
Yeah.
I'm interested in the Group 3. I'm looking in the Princess Margaret. I love that race. I think it's always a good pointer to our best fillies. I think what the horse of Charlie Appleby, Spring Cosmos, I think is quite impressive at Newmarket on her debut. I'm not convinced she'd like soft ground. You've got Nailati for Ryan Moore and Mark Johnson. It's interesting that Ryan Moore's been booked up for her. I thought she was slightly disappointing behind, was it Clemmy at Newmarket last time? I thought she'd... And maybe she got taken on for the lead there. But the one I really like is Mick Shannon's filly, Neola. I think she's been crying out for soft ground. She sort of got stranded at York in that really good race that Main Desire won with Mistress of Venice and Maggie's Angel all in there. The forms worked out really well. She got stranded on her own. She was in trap 2 and they all raced up the near side. She then came to the Queen Mary, was 5th, staying on 5th. The ground was too quick. The Queen Mary form's taken a bit of a hammering over the last few days, but I still think she's a really good filly on soft ground. And so at 6 furlongs, I'd be quite interested in her if she was a price in the Princess Margaret.
Okay, I know
now
Mick Shannon was...
There was nothing relative about that, was there?
No, very strong. I know Mick Shannon was very positive on her before Royal Ascot, wasn't he?
Yeah. I mean, she's a good filly. She was really unlucky at York, and I think, the softer the ground, the better. So I'd be, if it was soft, and, Ascot drains really quickly, so you can't be certain it'll be soft. But if the rain, if forecast does arrive, then she's going to have a big chance. Okay,
nice tip. What's anything take your eye?
Well, just going back to the Silver Flash, we didn't mention Easter Lily, who's a horse I put up last time on the postcast. Haven't seen her win at Leopardstown, so it all depends what Aidan runs in that race, because as Tom mentioned already, he's got September and Happily. But if he did go with Easter Lily, I'd be very interested to see if she could back up that win last time. We've got a good supporting card at York on Saturday as well. We've got the Group 2 York Stakes. Autocratic might run in that. Michael Stout's horse, who beat Algeometer last time out. in the Brigadier Gerard, I think. I'd be interested to see how he goes.
Okay, brilliant. We're going to cover Glorious Goodwood in just a moment.
Paddy Power are offering money back as a free bet if the horse you back finishes second, third or fourth to the SP favourite in 2 races today and every day this month. Max £25 per race. T&Cs apply. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.
Okay, welcome back to the Monday Postcast. We've spoken about Ascot at the weekend now. We're going to get on to Glorious Goodwood next week, where we'll be taking a more in-depth look at each of the days with the Postcast. But we're going to have a quick look at some of the bigger races now. Just to start us off, I'm actually going to Glorious Goodwood for the first time next week. Just wondering if anyone has any tips for me. Tom, Goodwood tipping. What's your take on it? Can be quite an unlucky track. Yes, you.
Me, which Tom? Look, Goodwood's one of those tracks, isn't it? You have weeks where everything goes right. You have weeks where everything goes wrong. I wouldn't be too worried about it. Obviously, what happens is that after the first 3 days, the rail is out, so the draw isn't as vital as it is Friday, Saturday. On the round course, you definitely need a low draw. They keep fresh ground back. And that mile handicap always goes to a high draw. Actually, now it used to be a low draw. It's high draw now. And so you need to be high in those round track races, even the maidens, everything on the Thursday and Friday and Saturday. Before that, I'm not too worried about it. I like the straight track races. I think they suit finishers, despite it being downhill. The last half furlong is quite steeply uphill. It's not massively steep, and it's not like the Tour de France, Nick, but it's pretty. It is a little step up, and they tend to go too fast and set it up for a finisher. So I like hold-up horses on the sprint track, and apart from that, no, nothing. I wouldn't get too het up about it.
Apart from that, you give me plenty to go on there. I'm probably going to need it, not going to lie. We'll start off with Tuesday. We've got the Lennox Stakes, which have been won by some great horses in the past. Can we have the betting, please, on that, Tom Nugent?
You can indeed. Home of the Brave is the 5-1 favourite alongside Spirit of Valour now. The two of them there at 5-1 at the top. Dutch Connection 6-1, Dreamcastle 7s, Labrizia Breeze at 8-1 alongside Lamato, 10-1 Breton Rock, and it's 12-1 Bar.
Okay, do you want to kick us off sticking with you? What do you make of the Lennox Stakes?
Is Lamato going to go here, do we know?
I don't think anyone knows, but I think they mentioned after Royal Ascot, he ran in the Golden Jubilee, the Diamond Jubilee. They said they would go to the July Cup rather than Goodwood. So I'm not sure if they will take him both. Okay.
Well, if he does, he's a biggish prize. Having like the last run he had over 7 furlongs was the Prix de la Forêt last year, which he absolutely ramped home. Won about 3 lengths in the end, I think. But he'd be big enough at 8-1 if he was. Obviously, if he was confirmed, he'd shorten up a bit. The other one I was having a look at, probably a bit out of left field, but Dabia each way at 14-1. She's unbeaten over 7 furlongs. Probably just didn't get home at Ascot the last day over a mile. Obviously, this would be a big step up in class for her, but she could be one to hit the frame at 14-1.
I don't think she's going to go, actually.
There we go. There's 2 horses that are completely
I think John Gosden
pointless.
said she might not go, and maybe she will. I don't think it's confirmed yet, but I'm not sure. But I do think the 7 furlongs will suit her, because he also said earlier that I don't think they're going to try a mile again with her. So that could be interesting, but we'll have to see who goes. Fellow Tom, what do you reckon of the Lennox?
Labrizia Breeze, for me, I just love him. I mean, he's going to need luck. He's going to need a draw. He's going to need a pace. But I think he's as good as any older horse over 6 and 7 furlongs, and I include Lamato. I thought he was unlucky at Ascot. I think if things drop right, I think he'd beat them all.
He's proved he can overcome all sorts of problems as well, hasn't he, when he was so impressive at Ascot last season? Yeah,
I mean, that was ridiculously impressive. I think he must have made up 6 or 7 lengths in half a furlong. Only really top-class horses can do that. I don't care what grade it is. It was only a handicap, but he's proven that he can cut it with the best. He was 2.5 lengths behind the Tin Man at Ascot. A length behind Lamato on his comeback run. I know this has been the target. He's owned by the local owners, the Brighton Football Club lot just around the corner. I think he's got a great chance.
I like him as well. Nick, anything in the Lennox for you?
It's a funny race to look at this stage, I think, because I certainly wouldn't fancy Dutch Connection to win again. I'd not say that straight away, but I mean,
what happened last time? He was horrible in Ireland, wasn't he? What went wrong?
Yeah, he wasn't very good, was he? It doesn't drum up much confidence for him for this. But I mean, if Labrizia Breeze and Lamato took part, I think you're looking at a completely different race.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about Lamato if he's going to run. That's the conundrum, so it's hard to say at the moment. Brisa Breeze is probably more likely of the two, in which case I'd fancy him strongly. But I would give a word to Spirit of Valour as well. He's one of these Aiden horses who's kind of slipped under the radar because he finished, ran him in the Guineas and he didn't do much. But you just know with Aiden's horses, at some stage they will find their feet, and this horse really has. He was second behind Le Brevido in the Jersey, and then last time out he won, I think it was the Minstrel Stakes at the Curragh.
Yeah.
Both of those are over 7 furlongs, and this is a real specialist trip, and he looks like he's ideally suited to 7 furlongs. And, Aiden's horses sometimes can just come out of nowhere and just go on a winning spree, and maybe Spirit of Valour has just found his feet at the right time, and he's just on a massive upward curve now.
Okay, Tom, I heard you nodding along and saying yes with that.
I totally agree. I mean, about Spirit of Valour. I was thinking about this the other day, and I wondered whether Spirit of Valour might end up being the 6 furlong superstar sprinter that they think Caravaggio is, and Caravaggio will end up being a miler, because I was so impressed with him at Ascot. I thought he showed a tremendous turn of foot. Now, he got beaten by a very, very good horse, Le Brevido, but he beat the rest comfortably, and he was, 66-1 that day. And then Ryan was very canny with him in Ireland. They went really slow, but he won easily, and I think he's really very good. And if he gets an easy lead, which is very possible here, looking down the runners, I think there'll be 10 or 12 runners. If Ryan can bounce him out in front and they can't, he'll be really hard to peg back, because, as we all know, Goodwood is a great track for front runners. It's a pace edge track, as I like to call it. If they go too fast, you want to be last. But we've got Ryan Moore here, and he'll go the right pace, and it'll be hard to peg back.
Yep, okay, so that's the Lennox Stakes all wrapped up for us. We're going to move on to the Goodwood Cup, which is also on the Tuesday now. Speaking of Gosden's runners earlier and other places, Stradivarius, he's the 3-year-old who's entered. Just a quick stat to throw in the mix there. No 3-year-old was won since 1990. I'm not sure how many have tried, but obviously we have Big Orange going for the hat-trick, which should be an awful lot easier now Order of St George is out. Can we have some betting, please, Tom Nugent?
You can indeed. Big Orange now odds on 8-11. Your favourite there. Simple Versus next in at 9s. Sheikh Zayed Road is 10s alongside Dal Harold and US Army Ranger. 12-1 Palisade or Stradivarius. 14-1 Higher Power and Kiwi, and it's 20-1 Bar.
Okay, fantastic. Any thoughts on it with you first, Tom Nugent?
Look, at Big Orange is a horse you'd love to own. He's just such a likeable running style, and he's obviously top drawer as well. I think that's kind of the scenes he created with the owners and connections in the parade ring at Ascot were just kind of unbelievable. But there's obviously, he's short enough at 8-11, as Tom mentioned. It's a front running track, so that'll suit his style. But one at an each way price, maybe if he goes again, this could be completely irrelevant if he doesn't go. But San Michel won the Stairs Handicap at Goodwood last year. He went to Belmont Park for a little raid there the other day and got touched off. If he was to go here at 20-1, he could be a big price each way.
Okay, I think he finished behind Red Cardinal, didn't he, in Belmont? Yeah. And that horse could go for the Melbourne Cup. Very interesting little snippet there. Tom, what do you reckon?
The first point to make about that stat you had about 3-year-olds is that it was 2.5 miles for a long time. It's not that long that it's been a 2-mile race, so not that many have run. I think it started in 2008. I think when Yates won it, was it that they dropped it back to 2 miles?
I know it's not been too long.
And so therefore, not many 3-year-olds run. I mean, just looking, I went through it the other day. I could hardly find any. I think it's amazing that 3-year-olds don't run. I think the fact that it's a Group 1 race now, and you haven't got Venice Beach or Raheen House or Count Octave or the other one I've forgotten off the top of my head. I think they should all be running in this. What are they waiting for? They're going to run in, if they could use this as a trial to the Ledger, undoubtedly, instead of running in the... Why do you want to run in the Voltager against Cracksman and Capri and classic horses when you can run against these old boys getting a stone? I mean, that's what I do. I mean, it's absolutely madness. You get more prize money. You get a great Group 1 rather than a Group 2. I think there should be more. And I think in the future, trainers are creatures of habit, and it takes a long time for things to people to cotton on to things have changed. But there's only, I think there's 4 entered in this race, 4 3-year-olds. I think there should be loads more. I think it's a great chance for them to win a Grade 1. We saw the other day in the Curragh Cup, there was one 3-year-old, Rekindling. He beat them. He beat the older horses, including Wicklow Brave. Yeah, Rekindling, that's the other one I meant to mention. Where's he? I think they should be more running in here. I give Stradivarius a massive chance in this, getting a stone. I don't, look, obviously, Big Orange is clearly the one to beat. He's on trying to win it for the third time running.
I think he's better than ever, don't you?
Yeah, of course he is. And he's got a great chance, as has Dal Herald, who's coming up in trip. I think he's been aimed at the race. But I'm absolutely staggered some of the good 3-year-olds aren't running in it, some of the top ones. Because it's a Group 1 race now, and they should be targeting. John Gosden hasn't been lost on John Gosden with Stradivarius. Bin Batuta was the horse we mentioned last week that I was incredibly impressed with at Ascot. The Dubawi horse who's related to the sprinters. Dream Ahead. Yeah, but he clearly stays. Whether he stays 2 miles is a different kettle of fish. But, I'll be looking at the 3-year-olds all day long because Big Orange is great. He's lovely. It was a fantastic win at Ascot, but he's not a world beater. And I think giving a stone to 3-year-olds would be tough for him, a really good one. Unfortunately, I'm not sure we got really good ones, but Stradivarius might be. Other one I got to mention is Rafe Beckett's mare that won the St. Leger. Simple Verse, yeah. If it's soft ground up there, I think she'll like that.
Yeah, she's won that big race at Goodwood as well,
exactly.
So we know she likes the track. What do you reckon? Big Orange, can he do it?
Yeah, I think he probably will. If I was to have an each-way play in the race, it probably won't be a popular one with the other two. But US Army Ranger, I like these kind.
It's funny what they've done with him, isn't it?
I like these roguish horses because I think somewhere along the line he will pop up, and they've tried to reinvent him into a stayer. And he could have run in the Gold Cup last month, but they obviously had Order of St George for that race. So as a kind of, let's see how we go, they slung him into the Queen Alexandra, which is obviously it's a very, very extreme trip for flat horses. He jumped up almost a mile in trip, and he didn't run badly in third. And I'm just interested they're persevering with him in good races. Maybe they think there's something still under the bonnet. They haven't quite unlocked it yet. And maybe we just haven't quite found the key to this horse. But hopefully 2 miles around Goodwood might just be up his street. And I think he's got the ability to run into a place. I think he's just into double figures at the moment. So I think it's a brave shout to say he's going to win because he doesn't win very often. And he seems to find a way to get beaten, as he did at Chester earlier in the season when it looked like he was home and hosed. But I don't know. I'm quite patient, and I just like to give these horses a chance because I think he'll pop up again somewhere.
You have to be quite patient with us lot, don't you? What price can we get on US Army Ranger again? Just remind us, Tom. I quite like that.
10-1 at the moment.
10-1.
Yeah.
Hoping for a bit bigger, but we
I
need
prefer
no Brian.
12s, but there we go.
There we go. Okay, we've covered Tuesday. We'll move on to Wednesday now. The features, obviously, the Sussex Stakes with the duel on the Downs this year being between Ribchester and Churchill. How do they bet, please, Tom?
We're Ribchester even money favourite. Churchill 6-4 and it's 8-1. Bar the top two. Zelzal is in it 8-1. Thunder Snow 14s. Lancaster Bomber and Spirit of Valour at 16-1 is 20s bar.
Do you think it's ridiculous to think anything can touch these two, or how's your view on it? Do you think it is just a match race?
The betting would suggest that. Yeah, probably. I think Thunder Snow is probably overpriced at 14-1, but I think he's running for third really. The way the form Ribchester has been in, obviously, it'll be interesting to see how Churchill, what kind of money comes for Churchill closer to the time now. Whether they think they've got him back right after Ascot, or whether they ironed out those problems. But sure, we'll see.
I'm not sure if I'd like to be on Ribchester in any case. Tom, what about you? I know you're a big Ribchester fan, aren't you?
Not especially. No, I'm not especially a fan of either of them, I don't think. I'd rather be watching the Galway Plate at this time, I have to admit.
You'd rather be watching Winter.
Yes, I'd rather be watching her running, that's for sure. To me, it's... Look, if Winter ran, I'd love her to run. She's clearly not going to run, but I don't know. I'm a bit bored of these duel on the Downs, 2-horse races. What do you do? I mean, I'm quite prepared to see either of them win. A lot would depend on conditions, a lot depends on rides, but... I think I agree with Tom there. I thought Thunder Snow was maybe the each way bet, but that does nothing for me really. I mean, I'll watch it and I'll be really enthralled by it, but as a betting medium, I wouldn't know where to start.
It is quite tricky. Are you sort of sitting on the fence as well, Nick?
No, not really. You slipped up, by the way. You used the duel on the Downs phrase. We're not meant to be using that.
Use that, yeah.
Are we not?
Yeah,
no, you're in
Is
trouble
that banned,
now.
is it?
Overused,
You've
yeah.
had it now. You'll be
Brilliant.
called in. You'll be called in.
Oh dear, I am in trouble.
But to get back to the race.
Thanks for that. Cheers.
Well, at least you know for the future now, don't you? So
Yeah, there we go.
But no, I'm a massive fan of Ribchester. I was a massive fan of him before Ascot. I know there's a few doubters before the Queen Anne on regard to the ground and that kind of thing. Would he be able to reproduce his best? But just look at the horse, and he was placed in the Guineas last season at a big price, and often horses finish in the Guineas at a big price, and then they don't go on to do anything much at all. But he's just had, a massive upward curve since then. You can set your clock by him. He just runs good race after good race, and he wins them as well. And, again, I think there's a bit of snobbery involved in it because he's trained by Richard Fahey, and maybe
it's not that, is it? It's just the way he holds himself and the way he gallops. He just looks a bit uncoordinated.
But he gets the job done.
He does. He's a bit like me. He's just not the best looking chap in the school. But there we go. Maybe that's why.
I like him. I think he's going to win, and unless there was genuine reasons for Churchill running below par last time, then. They
didn't find anything, did they? That's the thing.
They haven't come out since, as from what I've been reading.
I think he said he was off his feet.
Do you think he got a shocking ride, though? To be honest. Let's be honest. Let's not beat around the bush. It was Ascot on fast ground. He got sat back, 3 lengths behind, Barney Roy. I think Barney Roy was one of the fastest horses ever up the Ascot Straight. Mm-hmm. And you were asking Churchill to make up 3 lengths. It was impossible. No horse, Usain Bolt couldn't have done it. Pegasus couldn't have done it. It was impossible. So the way, it wasn't Ryan Moore's fault because he probably didn't realise the way the race was going to pan out. But in hindsight, there is no conceivable way he would have been ridden like that ever again.
Okay. If I put a gun to your head, Tom, which I'm sure lots of people would like to do sometimes,
exactly, these days.
Who would you pick?
I'd be on Ribchester. You'd
be on Ribchester, so would I. And I think any rain that comes is going to suit him, where arguably it'd be in Churchill's. He wouldn't be interested in that. We're going to move on to Winter now. We've mentioned her in the Nassau Stakes, Gosden, Sense, Shutter Speed and Somidar as well. Betting, please, Tom.
Yeah, Winter 7-4 favourite there. Queen's Trust 3-1. Shutter Speed 5s alongside Nezwa. Somidar 7-1. 10-1. Blonde Me. Sobetsu 12s, and it's 16-1 bar.
Okay, well, I'll switch this around a bit and go to you first, Watsy. What do you make of Winter? Is she unbeatable?
No, she's going over a new trip as she goes to the Nassau. She's
an extra furlong.
She's out of a sprinter. Laddie's Poker 2. Does she want to step up in trip? I don't know. Aidan normally he knows what he's doing. He gets away with it. Well, not gets away with it, but, often you think there might be a pedigree query about one of Aidan's horses, and whatever it is, because of the Galileo influence or whatever, they just seem to get it. So she'll probably get it and win well. But if I was to put one up, I'd probably say Nezwa after the way she won in Ireland last time. I was very impressed with her. So I think she's a worthy alternative, and fair play for them for trying Winter in this race. It does add a kind of a bit of an unknown in there in regard to the trip, so it's a new variable to think about. And I'd be probably looking for something to oppose her as much as I like her.
Do you think they'll run a pacemaker for Winter, Nick?
They could do, couldn't they? I'm sure they've got a few in there to toy with that kind of philosophy. But I don't know. Do you think she'll get the trip?
I would have said no problem.
No, I think she'll get the trip, no problem. Is she definitely going to run? Is she definitely going to run?
I think this has been the plan, yeah.
Oh, yeah, it surprises me because I would have thought they'd have stuck to a mile with her. I mean, I think there's plenty in there that got a chance. I think Queen's Trust's got a massive chance.
Just to interject, do you reckon this is to see if she would get 10 furlongs and are we thinking forward of where she's going to go later on in the season, or do you think they'll stick to a mile after this, I mean?
I don't know. I would have thought that the horse that they should be trying over further is Churchill myself. I thought he should be stepping up in trip. I don't see the point in stepping Winter up in trip. I mean, she can win, there's plenty of races she can run in. Like Minding came back and won the QE2, didn't it? I'm surprised because I thought Churchill would have been the one that would have wanted to go up in trip myself more than Winter. But I think she'll stay. I don't see there's any problem in that. All she does is finish off her races well. But this is a totally different game for her. I mean, Roly Poly, she's been beating a few times. Roly Poly, good filly, won the Falmouth the other day, but she's not Queen's Trust, who was beaten 2 lengths, an unlucky 2 lengths in the Prince of Wales. She's not Nezwa, who won the Pretty Polly by 3 lengths last time. I think this is a really, really good race, and Winter has to do something totally different to beat the older fillies. Haven't even mentioned Somidar, who's in there as well, who will have been trained for the race. So I think this is probably the race of the week, and I think Winter has it all to do.
Who is your selection then, Tom?
Queen's Trust. I thought she was unlucky last year against Minding, who I think is better than Winter was. She was only beaten a length that day. I thought she was desperately unlucky in the Prince of Wales's last time. She finished it off better than anything.
Yeah.
She was only half a length, was it? Just about that behind Ulysses, who went on to win the Eclipse. I think that form is better than what Winter has put up so far. That's not to say Winter can't improve again up in trip or, in a better race. But for me, it's all about Queen's Trust, and I'd definitely throw in Neswar too, who was very, very impressive at the Curragh last time.
Yeah, she was power-packed in the finish that day, wasn't she? I think she's improved no end. Anything to add, other Tom, just quickly?
No, we'll look at Winter. Winter is the one to beat. I had a little nibble each way at Somidar a few weeks ago when we discussed this race. Again, she was a bit bigger then. She was about 12-1. But look at Winter's the one to beat for me. I would be slightly more positive about her chance than Tom now. I don't think she has a doll to do. I think she definitely is the one to beat.
Okay, so opposing views there. I'm going to go straight now to the best bet of the week. Chuck mine your way, Watsy.
I'll put one up in the Stewards Cup. Orion's Bow, who was second in it last year. I think I watched it at Musselburgh a couple of runs ago and never got a run at all. It was one of those annoying sprints where it finished on the bridle in about 10th place, beaten about 2 lengths and never got any room at all. Last 3 runs have all been over 5 furlongs, and really I think it wants 6, so that's why it hasn't been winning. It's come down to the same mark it ran off last season when it was second behind Dancing Star, who was a really good winner of the race. So I expect Orion's Bow, if it goes down there for Tim Easterby, to run very well.
Okay, look at that for a choreographed argument. I knew you fancied him beforehand. That was nice. Tom Siegel, what do you reckon?
I get the Orion's Bow thing. I think he's got a bit to do with Dan Zeno, who I think is very impressive at Ascot last time. I just think he's a better horse. They found some shoes for him or something. Something's changed for him, but he's now back on a mark that was, he was running well in Group 1s. I think he'll go well. But for me, it's the Labrisa Breeze. I'm a massive fan of the horse. Really looking forward to the Lennox Stakes. And then we can watch Galway after that.
Okay, plenty to enjoy. And fellow Tom over in Ireland, what do you reckon? Anything Aidan O'Brien's sending over that you really fancy?
No, I'll give you one of the big price for if Don Juan Triumphant goes in the Stewards Cup. I wouldn't mind him back at 6 furlongs. Obviously high class in his day, lost his way a little bit. He's a big price at 25-1. And Tigris River for the Galway Hurdle.
I think you mentioned that one before, so we're getting it in there as well. Right, we're going to go to a break, but next I'm just going to announce it again. Here is your chance to win a £25 or €25 Euro free bet from Paddy Power. Simply tweet your answer to the following question using the hashtag Postcast, and we'll announce the winner on Friday's show. The free bet will be credited to your Paddy Power account. The question is, who is favourite for Saturday's King George with Paddy Power?
Paddy Power are offering money back as a free bet if the horse you back finishes 2nd, 3rd or 4th to the SP favourite in 2 races today and every day this month. Max £25 per race. T&Cs apply. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.
Okay, welcome back to the Monday Postcast for our last little instalment. I'm joined by Nick Watts, Tom Siegel and Tom Nugent. Going to have a quick look back now at the weekend. We obviously had Magical Memory winning and Bengali Boys, who made an absolute mockery of the super sprint. Eye catchers, please, Nick, you first.
I have to confess, I was watching Royal Birkdale at the weekend, and golf, that is, Maddie.
Shameful.
So my racing watching was fairly sparse this weekend. I did see Magical Memory win, and he's a frustrating horse in that you always think he could go win a Group 1, but when he runs in Group 1s, he never does it. So, yes, he did win nicely at the weekend. Soft ground might be the key to him now, but if he was to go up into a Group 1 again, I'd probably oppose him. So that's about as much as I can say. Although it's good, like you, to see some jumping action back at the weekend, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely loved it. Gotta love the summer jumps. Tom, what about you? Eye catcher of the weekend?
That's a hard one. I would throw in there a horse of Richard Hannon's that won at Newbury on Friday called Mayasha. Mayyasah. She's a 2-year-old. She's by more than ready. She won first time out, beating an experienced horse of Brian Meehan's and one of David Ellsworth. I just thought she was really impressive. I don't think the time was anything special, but I know Richard Hannon runs those purple colours, what are they called? The old Al Shakab Racing. He likes running his best ones at Newbury. She looked really good. I think she's probably a Group filly in the making.
Okay, excellent. And other Tom, what about you? Any eye catchers?
Not much else for me. No, I too was watching Royal Birktail. I tell you that.
Were you on it? Were you on
Shame on
Jordan
you
Speak
guys.
like me?
that Jordan Speak could go right to the top. I tell you, you heard it here first. He's not
Did
bad.
you back him?
I did not.
Tom,
no.
I was on
look
Kuchar
at
at
this.
50s.
Oh,
were
you
you? Oh,
muppet.
Jesus.
So you've done me. You've done me.
About blimmin' time. You do me every other week.
So no eye catchers from you because you were too busy watching people try and hit a ball in a hole, yes?
Exactly.
I don't get the golf. Maybe I'm the only one. We're going to leave you shortly, but before we do, we have a quick Twitter Q&A question. I thought this would be perfect for Mr. Siegel. He absolutely loves this. What can be done to revive the King George as a showpiece event? Andy Wilkie asks, sorry. Is it a prize money thing, or does the Arc just hold more prestige these days? Go for it. Hit it out the park.
Deary me, that's it. Andy was obviously listening last week. I don't know. I don't think it's a prize money thing. I think it's an attitude thing within the trainers. They love, and the owners love, a trip to Paris in the autumn time, and nice little trip
Nice
down.
romantic.
Yeah, nice little trip down the Champs-Elysees. A lovely, bottle of wine in the flashy restaurants there. Because to me, when I was growing up there, it was all about the King George. The 3-year-olds used to run there, the British 3-year-olds. I don't know why the Derby winners don't run in the King George anymore. It's as though they run in the Eclipse and give themselves a break until the autumn. To be honest, I have no reason why. I think it's just a fashion thing. I don't think there's anything we can do about it. I think it'll all change around again one day when people start to see the King George for what it was in when I was growing up. But at the moment, it's just all about what the owners and the trainers have. And what us as the media and what, we all like to go over to Paris and have a lovely time, and we've talked it up to being the greatest race in the world. But the truth of the matter is we're missing something. We're missing out on the King George. It's always been a fantastic race, and I wish the 3-year-olds. It's great. John Gosden's the only man that does it.
He loves it. I was looking back through the records, and the horses he chucks at it is excellent. And
It's
obviously he had
brilliant, isn't it?
Tagruda winning it, and
It's
hopefully
brilliant. And he
Enable can
runs
do
his
the same.
3-year-olds. He runs his 3-year-olds every year. It's a real fillip in his cap, I think, that we see his horses, his best 3-year-olds running in the race. I wish Aidan would run his best, but then he's got all these older horses that he can win it with, so he probably doesn't have to. But it'd be nice to see a Capri or a Cliffs of Moher or something in there. But there we go. That's all it is. I think it's just a fashion thing.
Okay, well, maybe Highland Reel can win it for Aidan O'Brien. Like you say, maybe he's not going to need one of those 3-year-olds. Okay, that's about all from us lot. If you've not done so already, just a reminder, don't forget to rate the Postcast. Please leave a review and, of course, subscribe to us on iTunes. It's goodbye from me, Nick, and both Toms. Thank you for joining us.
Check out Paddy Power's new and exclusive Cash Card Plus, available to use online, at ATMs, or even down the local. Paddy Power, you beauty.